Solving equations with variables on each side. So a few things to go over. Simplify on either side the equal sign as much as you can first. Always make sure you do that. Then you can move anything from one side of the equation to the other by changing the sign. A lot of people don't like that. They find it weird, but it can be a lot easier, and I will show you that. And so you know that you can do the same thing from both sides, as long as you do it to both sides. And then use addition of the opposite as it comes up. Let's look at the first one. So here's number 1, and I've written it in 2 places because I'm going to show you 2 different ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this using addition of the opposite. Okay? Now, when we start to solve this, it doesn't matter if you solve the k first or the numbers. It doesn't matter. You can do it either way, but because I always said leave the variable to last, I'm going to deal with the numbers first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. So notice how I keep everything in a straight line. I write everything below. Now I'm going to take care of the 3k. So I have an equal sign. I've done the same thing on both sides. So then divide by 2. So k is equal to a -4. Okay, let me show you another way to do it. It's the same thing. You can move things from one side of the equal sign to the other just by changing the sign. So, first thing, I want to move this over here, and I want to move this over here. So since it was a positive, when I move it over here, it's a -3k. 5k stays the same. So that stayed the same, so I didn't change the sign. -6 stays the same, but I get -2. So I switch those 2 things, so I change the sign of them. So now I can just simplify. Here's 2k, and that's -8. So k is equal to -4. So both ways work. It's kind of up to you. Okay, number 2. First thing I'm going to do is addition of the opposite. Alright, so you do that to make sure you're not confused on what's a positive and what's a negative. Now I need to simplify as much as I can on both sides of the equal sign. So here I can do distributive property. So it's 18 plus a -6x. Now I'm going to solve it in 2 different ways. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Now I need to add 6x. Divide by 14, x is equal to 2. So you can always double check. So those added to 0, these added to 0, so it works. Now over here I'm going to show you how, if I just want to do it all kind of at one time, I'm going to switch this -10 over here, and move this -6 over here. So when you do that, you just have to change the sign. So it was a -10, I moved and made it a +10. It was a -6, moved and made it a +6. so x is equal to 2. Remember, you can always check your answer. I can take 2, put it back in here, the original, and see if it works. So 8 times 2 is 16 minus 10. 2 times 2 is 4, so 6 minus 4. So that's 6, and that's 6. Always check your answer. Okay, this is part 1. Make sure to watch part 2, then take the quiz on Edmodo.